Welcome to this Tutor to You Sociology topic video on social class and parental attitudes. Well, what do sociologists mean when they talk about parental attitudes? Parental attitudes are one of the cultural explanations for the differences in achievement between the social classes. Parents have great influence over their child's education, and some sociologists believe that children's attitudes towards education will be a direct result of their socialisation into the norms and values of their parents. Others suggest that the level of interest and support that parents show in their child's education can also have an impact, and rather deterministically suggest that there are differences in the interest levels and support offered by parents of different social classes towards their children's education. Furthermore, it's argued that a parent's own educational background and an awareness of how children learn can be influential in their child's education. Once again, it is suggested that there are differences between the social classes in this respect. As we've seen in previous videos in this series, there are differences in the educational achievement of different social classes, with students of lower classes underachieving in comparison to their higher class peers. Sociologists Hyman and Sugarman suggested that the reason for this difference is due to the subcultural attitudes of working class parents. They found the middle class were more likely to be optimistic about their education, deferring the gratification of work in exchange for rewards in the future, something which is part of the value consensus. They were more focused on long-term future success and demonstrated individualism in putting their own educational interests over group membership. On the other hand, working-class subcultural values tended to be more fatalistic. Feeling unable to achieve success, they often would pass down values to their children that education was pointless in comparison to working. This resulted in a need for immediate gratification, with students choosing employment over further study to take advantage of the rewards on offer now. This led to a present-time orientation and a lack of future planning. It leads to delaying work in school and enjoying their free time instead, procrastinating over tasks. And finally, collectivism was rewarded. Loyalty to their peers, to their family was rewarded over individual gains. Hyman and Sugarman suggest that values of the middle class are important in achieving educational success, and that by rejecting the middle class values, the working class children would struggle to achieve in education. In our previous video on material deprivation, we looked briefly at the work of J.W.B. Douglas, and it is Douglas again who suggests that one of the reasons children of lower social classes underachieve is due to a lack of parental interest in their education. It's argued that middle class parents are more likely to be invested in school, and that those of lower social classes. They are more likely to attend parents' evenings and be part of school committees and parent-teacher associations. Some sociologists would suggest that this is due to them feeling at home with the middle-class habitus of education, and that many working-class parents may feel alienated by this, or have had bad experiences in school and not want to participate for fear of being judged. Douglas also argued that early socialisation was key to educational achievement, with many middle-class parents having time and knowledge to socialise their children into the cultural framework that would benefit them in education. Parents of lower social classes may not be equipped or may not have time due to working shifts or looking after other children to engage, while others may be very engaged with their children's education but lack the knowledge and skills to make a significant difference. A further contribution of parents to educational achievement is parental support. Similar to Douglas, Feinstein found that middle-class parents are more likely to push their children further. Middle-class parents are more likely to have high aspirations for their children, encouraging them to go to university and setting them high target grades for exams. They are also more likely to have contact with the school if their child is underperforming, and more demanding of a teacher's time. It can be argued that this is due to middle-class parents having equal or higher status to teachers. This is not to say that working class do not support their children in education, but are more likely to have lower aspirations for their children and be less engaged with teachers and less likely to attend parents' evenings. A further advantage that middle class children have over their working class peers is their parents' knowledge of education. Middle class parents usually come from educated backgrounds, with many having attended university. Their parents are more aware of the sacrifices required in order for their children to get ahead, as they have been through that process themselves. They are more disciplined when it comes to their children's education, and they encourage their children to succeed. Gillian Evans found that middle-class mothers were more likely to have the skills and knowledge to give their children a head start in education in their preschool years. They are more likely to have read books on parenting, spoken to other parents, and spent time using learning through play activities with their children. In contrast, working class mothers showed a similar desire to provide for their children, but lacked the expertise to do so. Of course, many of these explanations are broad generalizations about working class and middle class parenting styles. Some would argue that the socialization of working class parents is not inadequate for society, it is just different to that of the middle class. This then puts their children at a disadvantage going into an education system because of the middle class habitus. This is a problem created by the education system and not by parents themselves. Furthermore, many researchers have suggested that working class parents are far from disinterested in their child's education and want their children to succeed in education and take pride in their performance. However, they have more barriers to overcome than middle class parents and therefore struggle to devote the same time and attention to their children's work. Finally, it can be argued that many of the ideas proposed about working class attitudes are due to their economic position in society. When a family is living from one paycheck to the next, it's hard to be future orientated. If you are not used to financial rewards, it is difficult to defer taking them. It can be argued that middle class are able to defer gratification and think about the future because they are meeting all of their basic needs comfortably, something which cannot be said for many families in lower socioeconomic positions. This concludes our look at social class and parental attitudes. Thank you very much for watching.